Well, this isn't Atlanta Falcons news. This is more of Pittsburgh Steelers news, but it has to do with the Atlanta Falcons' former head coach, Arthur Smith. And he has been hired to be the Steelers' new offensive coordinator, replacing, well, I guess formerly it wasn't Matt Canada. Someone else technically stepped in, but you know what I mean. They're trying to find anyone better than Matt Canada. So I don't know. I'm just kind of like, the Steelers have a great fan base. It's very large. I'm pretty sure about everyone knows at least one Steelers fan in their life. Probably I do. Probably more than one. So I just was like, I'm just interested in giving Steelers fans my thoughts on Arthur Smith. And yeah, sure, on the outside, this is going to look like a hire of like, oh God, like, poor George Pickens, poor Najee Harris, like, whatever quarterback they want to get later on. Oh, poor him because Arthur Smith isn't going to utilize him. Arthur Smith has made questionable personnel decisions. I'm not going to deny that. Like, why would you get Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson if you're just not going to use them? And it's not even just the whole he doesn't utilize his draft picks thing. It's also like I felt like he was making some play calls that were harder than it should have been. Versus the Packers last year. Like we were at the 1 or 2 yard line and we never just ran the ball. We kept trying to be cute and give Desmond Ridder his touchdown, his passing touchdown. And, just the little things that Arthur Smith would do. I was like, you don't have to make this too difficult and cute. Like just call a simple play call and you'll be good. I do think he was, I'm not going to act like I know him personally, but it just seemed like I do think he was stuck in his own ways and was a little too full of himself. He was like, oh, I don't need to get a quarterback. We're good with Desmond Ridder. Did you see what I did with Ryan Tannehill? I'm going to do exactly what I did with Ryan Tannehill, but with Desmond Ridder. And, oh, no, yeah, don't worry about me, guys. Like, we just got Bijan Robinson, but watch, Tyler Algier is going to be just as great. We don't need to utilize Bijan all the time. Like, just a bit of an ego, and that's really all the negatives you can think about with Arthur Smith, for me at least. But I don't want the Steelers fans to look at this only for their new offensive coordinator. Falcons fans literally know, if they've been following this channel for a long time, I was the king of defending Arthur Smith. My Twitter banner still is "In Arthur Smith We Trust" because at the time I thought it was going to work out with Arthur Smith. I'm kind of keeping it up just for goofs at this point, but in a way I still kind of believe in Arthur Smith, even though he's not with us. I don't want the negatives to outweigh the pros, Arthur Smith, I do think can turn careers around, not even just with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. We saw what he did with Cordero Patterson in his first year in Atlanta. Kyle Pitts still had a 1,000-yard season in his rookie year. Bijan Robinson, despite the fact that he wasn't used as much as we maybe would have hoped, it's not like he looked bad. And I'm not trying to pull too many excuses for Arthur Smith, but to be fair, he did have to work with pretty bad quarterback play. Matt Ryan was not the same quarterback when he first came in. Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder, no offense, that kind of just speaks for itself. So it's if Arthur Smith can just learn his lesson, get a good quarterback in the building for the Steelers, and utilize his playmakers, I think you're honestly looking at a pretty good offensive coordinator. He's very young. He's still got a lot to learn, and he's got a lot of time to be in the NFL, I guess. I really don't think it's a bad hire. When he was with the Titans and a little bit of the Falcons, you saw some of that offensive creativity. He runs mostly the Shanahan system, so we know how successful that gets compared to Matt Canada's stagnant offense. I really don't think it's all that bad of a hire. I don't want to hype him up too much because I don't think, his woes in Atlanta are to be ignored, but I can kind of see him being exactly like our former head coach Dan Quinn, where, yeah, sure, as a head coach, Dan Quinn made mistakes, but then he goes to Dallas, becomes defensive coordinator, and all of a sudden it's it looks like he wasn't a fraud in Seattle. Maybe Arthur Smith just wasn't set for head coach, but for offensive coordinator, I don't know. We'll just see. He's also working with Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's a great football mind. I mean, Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin kind of think alike. Like they're kind of like that, disciplined, get the team together kind of thing. And they're not kind of like, Sean McVay and Mike McDaniel, where they're kind of like these young, genius offensive minds, but they're kind of jokesters at the same time. I'm not exactly sure if I'm explaining that very well, but I'm basically saying, Steelers fans, I really don't think it's that bad of a hire. And best of luck to you guys and to Arthur Smith. By the way, Falcons fans, I made a TikTok about how I basically feel about our new offensive and defensive coordinator. Zach Robinson, I love. Jimmy Lake, no offense, I have no idea who that is. But I guess I'll look him up a little more and see what he's about. Rise up.